Fantastic. So thanks very much for doing that, Chris. Fantastic job of welcoming everybody to this call. As Chris mentioned in the introductions, Art asked me to ask Kaz and Chris and myself to do this webinar today because, as you all know, or if you don't know, Art and Terry are attending the event in Washington, D.C. today, which is the official launch of our fantastic new product X51, which will no longer be called X51, and we still don't know what it's going to be called. So we're really excited to find out later on today what it's going to be called. So welcome to the call, everybody, from wherever you're calling in from. We're from the United Kingdom, and it's just gone 6 p.m. in the evening here. I did hear a lot of people coming in from the USA and Canada, and I heard, I think, some people from South Africa and Monte Carlo. I think we got people from probably from Russia and Ukraine on. So from whichever part of the world you're from, a very warm welcome to you, and especially if there are any brand new people on the call. So a big warm welcome. And let's get straight into this call because we've got some really important information to share with you today. The title, as you should see on your computer screen, is Building a Global Business. And what we're going to do, we're going to give you some tips and strategies on how to think more globally and act more globally because, there's some really exciting things happening now in Xango. We've got lots of new products coming. There are lots of new countries opening. The company have got tremendous big goals for us. And so we thought it would be a good idea to talk about some of the countries that are opening and some strategies on how to actually develop business in those countries. Okay, let me just move on to the next slide here. Before we go on to more specifics on what's happening, which countries are going into, and some tips on the how bit, we thought it'd be wise to talk about, all of us need to think a lot bigger. I can remember Art saying a few weeks ago on one of his webinars, we really need to think a lot bigger than we're doing so at the moment. A lot of people, unfortunately, have unlimiting beliefs, and what our job is. This business is one of the best businesses for developing people, and it's all about getting people to realize, that they have unlimited potential. Possibilities are endless, and we really got to think a lot bigger. I've been around this industry now for 20 years, just over 20 years, and we've been with Xango for 2 years now, and the reason I came across to Xango, the previous company we were working with for about 14 years, so we don't jump from company to company. And Chris was cross-line for me within that company. And, it was a big decision to come to Xango. And what swung it for us was the quality and ethics and integrity of the founders of Xango. That's why we joined this company. And we knew where Xango were heading. We could see the big picture. We've got vision to see how big Xango are going to be. There are only 9 companies in the entire network marketing industry that do over $1 billion per annum. And Xango will be one of those. Will be one of the next companies to do over $1 billion annually. And we'll talk a little bit more about goals of the company. But what we want to get across to you tonight is to really start to look at that picture of that globe and think where do I want business? Do I want business just in my hometown or home city or county, or do I want a massive global international business? And it's not as difficult as you really think it is. Chris, what would you comment on that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Sometimes people come into the business, they're very excited about the possibilities and about the products and everything else. And they maybe don't realize that what they've actually got for themselves for their amazingly high fee of $35 is the opportunity to operate in every country where Xango is open for business. And, of course, all of the future ones, which are, coming down the line as we speak, in fact. And, sometimes people's thinking needs to be expanded a little bit because they come into the business. One of the little clues that I sometimes pick up on, Sean, is when they customize their My Mangus Team website, if they're in our group, and they put their phone number in their local format. They don't put it down as an international phone number. And that just kind of tells you that they're not expecting to get business from abroad, from other countries.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's a question of, thinking that you're in a global business from the day that you begin.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kaz, let me just introduce Kaz because Kaz Osborne is actually my sponsor. And Kaz, how long did it take you to sponsor?
We have a lot of noise on the line here. I think we need to just press star 6. If everybody would press star 6 to mute their lines, that would be very helpful. Hello, everybody. Okay, that's great. That's much better. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, loud and clear, Cass.
Fantastic. Okay, can you please repeat the question? I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I was just bringing it into the call, Kaz, and, I've known Kaz for a couple of years now, and there isn't anyone I've met who's so passionate about this company as Kaz is, and her commitment and dedication to not just growing the market here in the United Kingdom, but Kaz actually has distributors probably in most countries we operate in. And I was just, the question was, Kaz, this is a bit on, persistence. How long did it take you to sponsor me, for example?
Well, to sponsor Sean, actually to sponsor you, and I must say that I'm very, very glad that I did. It was very, very rewarding to do so, and it also is a very good example of not only of persistence, but also in just following up and not pestering somebody, but just to keep on, informing them, keep them in the loop. And actually, initially, it was building a rapport, wasn't it, Sean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because we decided that we had built a rapport, that we could exchange some information with each other, and then I had your permission to just inform you, and I kept you informed from time to time, and you also kept me informed about your industry, so about your company. So we sort of had an exchange there, and of course, yes, it took me a year to sponsor Sean. It just was a natural, organic move into obviously what was going to have to be Xango at the end of the day, because, folks, there's not a better company out there. I don't care what anybody says. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Yeah. And of course, Sean Sean has almost 20 years in experience in network marketing. He'd already viewed 30 companies before coming into Xango. He was actually looking, and it was just a foregone conclusion. It was just a question of time, and supplying some good information, which was actually very easy to do. I just put him on Art's email loop. And let Art give him the information, and then I would follow him up with him perhaps every once a month, wasn't it, Sean?
Yeah, I guess it was, Kaz. You didn't pester me. You just kept in constant contact.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe once a month, a CD would turn up, or some other information, or link to something, and and I would watch it or listen to it, and over time we made that decision. Because previous company we worked with for nearly 14 years, and when you're with a company for that long, you don't just decide to jump ship. And a lot of things were going on within that company we weren't happy with, and we were thinking of our people, not just ourselves. And that's what this business is all about: is thinking of other people, not you. If you're selfish, you won't build this business. And that's what it's all about. It's adding value to others, and putting the other person's interest before your own, and that's the reason we came across to Xango. Okay, so moving on rapidly. Again, before we go on to more specifics, this business is all about creating the right mindset, and we hear Art talking about this a lot, and this is about creating the mindset of a global leader. Now, over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if you see yourself as a 500k, a 200k, or even a premier, you really got to take responsibility for your own business. No one's going to build it for you, okay? But we'll build it with you. And from day one, this is so crucial. It's treating it as a $1 million or £1 million or €1 million business, and that's what it's all about. Now, I guess the trouble is, Chris, you relate to this. It doesn't cost it very much to actually get started in Xango. Most people come in with 2 or 3 cases of juice or a combination of other products, and you pay your sign-up fee, which I guess in the USA is $34. It's £21 here in the United Kingdom, and the majority of people don't treat it as a business because you haven't invested your life savings, you haven't gone to the bank, you haven't borrowed tens of thousands to get it started, but you've got to try and develop that mindset. You have put $1 million into it, because if you had, you would treat that business with a lot more respect, okay, and dedication. Because, sometimes the fear of loss is a greater motivator than the desire to get ahead. So you really got to focus and think of, you've put that $1 million into it. And again, be focused on your daily actions and be consistent. Exactly what Kaz was in sponsoring me. You've got to be very focused, especially now, even more so, because, we've got so much happening within the company now. We've got, X51, we've got Glimpse, we've got the pericarp oil, we've got the mineral makeup, a convention that the body products are going to be launched. So things are happening at a rapid pace. And when things start to happen like that, sometimes we come a little bit defocused, because your mind's on the Glimpse and then the juice and then this, that, and the other. So we must be 100% focused. And so you've got, and time management comes into this a lot. So because all these things are happening, you really got to be 100% focused on where you're going. And I think one of the most important things is developing yourself. And I believe this is crucial, because this business is all about, it's all about attitude, and it's all about belief. You've got to develop belief in, the company. You've got to develop belief in the products. You've got to develop belief in the industry, the network marketing industry. And if anybody's new on the call, go and do some research on this industry, because, it's one of the most, I think it's the best industry that anyone can be actually involved with, but it's one of the most misunderstood industries as well, okay? And that's all about education. Our job is to educate people and teach people. This is not a selling business. It's a teaching and coaching business, all right? And most people who don't understand network marketing think this is some sort of selling business, where you go out selling Xango juice and Glimpse. That's not our business. Our business is all about developing other people, okay, and developing ourselves. And one or two things I would personally recommend, is get on. I know you have X in USA, in Canada, you have Xango Pro. We haven't got it over here yet, but I believe, I've heard a lot of good things from Art and Terry about this. And Art said it's some of the best training that he's received in his 20 years plus in this industry. And so we can't wait for Xango Pro to come over here. And, this is what it's all about, is developing yourself, because your income will never exceed your attitude. Okay, so you've got to increase your attitude. Now, a couple of books I actually recommend is some of the classics, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I know you love that book, Kaz.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, another great one I love is The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. It's a brilliant book for getting you to think bigger and believe, to develop your belief. Now, unfortunately, in the society we live today, we have the stuffing knocked out of us, don't we? We're always told what we can't do and not what we can do. The education system teaches us to go to school, go to college, or go to university, get educated and go and get a job and work for somebody else. And you do that for all your career, then you end up, basically, when you retire, having less money in your bank account when you're actually 18 years old, and that's a fact. And that's what our society teaches us to do. So we've got to change that thinking, and it's all about mindset. And it's, what we want to teach you tonight and give you some strategies is developing that mindset, but thinking on a global basis rather than just thinking in your current town, city, or country. Okay, the next slide I want to talk about is, before we talk about building a huge international business and some strategies on how to do that, is, before you do anything in this business, whether you want to, build a local business, an international business, or whatever size business you want to build, this, I think, is the most important thing, or one of the most important things, is developing your why. Why do you want to build this business? And if any of you were on last week's webinar with Estella, she said this is one of the most important things. You've got to find something that is really emotional and strong to you, something that, motivates you to go and build your business, because, we can't motivate people. Well, we could, but it's like having a warm bath. It stays warm for a short time and then it cools right down. It's like a lot of trainings you go to, a lot of them, not ours, I hasten to add, are like rah-rah sessions. You go to them, you get some speaker, some motivational speaker, pumps everybody up. As soon as we get home, it's gone. So, what we do is we inspire people. We don't motivate people. And this is so crucial. You've got to find something that's really, really important to you. So it may not be, a flash new car or a big house. It might be something completely different. But it's what I call is it's what I call it's finding it's digging really down and finding what is important to you. And it could be a mission. It could be, for example, the green revolution with Glimpse, which I believe is going to be absolutely huge. It could be, you want to be in this business to give to charities. I don't know what it is, but you've got to find it. And that's not an easy thing to do, okay? Because goal setting, I'm not an expert on goal setting, but because it's not taught at an early stage in our lives, unfortunately. But it's the most crucial, or one of the most crucial skills you can actually learn. So there's some great materials that will help you to do this. And Chris, you always talk to your group about, what is your goal, what's your dream, why do you want to do this business? And would you say this is one of the most important things in our business?
Definitely, Sean. The great thing with goal setting is that people think that it's just something the leaders talk about. But what it really is something that the leaders do, and it's actually what makes them leaders. That's one of the defining things, is that they learn how to set goals, break them down, and then achieve them step by step. And, having that why is kind of the forerunner to having the goals that can make the why possible, make the why come true. And, if people come into this business and kind of think, well, I want to do as well as I can, that's just too vague to create any kind of success for them. But if they can break it down into something like you just mentioned there, they want to donate to charities, they need to break it down even more than that, and sort of, perhaps through the Xango Goodness Meal Pack program, they could break down the number of people they want to feed, the number of people in a village, and say, right, I'm going to feed this whole town through my efforts, that kind of thing. Make it very, very specific. And, if you can dig down and find a driving force that can be real in your mind, that will power you forward. And if you've got these goals set and you know exactly where you're going, you can start with the end in mind and travel the journey that gets you there. And sometimes people come across these obstacles and objections and silly little things that come through day-to-day life and knock us off track a little bit. And if those goals and the vision that you've set for your future are powerful enough and strong enough, then you don't even notice these obstacles. You just deal with them and carry on along that road. And a favorite quote of mine, I can't even remember who it's from, but it's a favorite of mine, is that obstacles are the things you see when you take your eye off your goals, okay? Because if you're focused on the goals, then you don't even notice the obstacles. They're just little day-to-day challenges that you deal with. So, yeah, it's probably the most important thing in our business.
Absolutely. And what I would suggest to everyone on the call today, if you've not really sat down and decided, what do I want to achieve out of this business? Where do I want to be in the next year or 2 years or 5 years? So set yourself some short-term, medium, and long-term goals. And, that is one of the most important things you can do, because, until you do that, your business really is not going to move as quick as you want it to move. And because, what is going to motivate you to go and do this business? You come home from a hard day's work and, maybe 8, 12 hours, and you come home and, you put the TV on and, you've got to have something that's going to make you, do something positive towards your, to your business. Like we said in one of the previous slides, about consistent, persistent actions. And it's just doing simple little things over a consistent period. That's what we do, And Kaz, I just want to ask you a question here. Now, we had a fantastic conference call Thursday night, and you were talking about, the mission, what mission we're on. And I'd love you just to repeat some of the things you said on Thursday night, because I thought it was just absolutely fantastic.
Well, Sean, one of the things that you want to really think about is, once you know what is really deeply important to you, you've automatically got guidelines. And, what we need to do is we need to think about what is deeply important to us, and it's a mission that's way beyond us. And when we actually portray that, when we actually want to communicate with another person, if we come outside of ourselves, we leave our ego behind, and we think about what we're actually going to be giving somebody else by communicating with them. It's a gift. It's a huge gift. We're giving them a gift of an opportunity to change their lives, but not only to change their lives, but to change the lives of countless millions of people, on the basis that there's going to be references, and you don't know ever who this is actually going to touch, but you know that it's going to touch so many people. So if you go out there with a personal mission statement, it should actually contain two basic parts. It should contain vision, which is, the mental picture of what you're about, and it should contain principles, and the principles are how you're going to go about and get it. And, with that, what you really want to do is you want to be thinking about not only what you want, but what you actually want for your team, for the company, for the people who it's going to be affecting, for the world. So go out there and have a much, much bigger dream that goes way, way beyond you. Because if you have that dream, every time that you communicate what you want, every time that you communicate with somebody and you want to talk to somebody, then you're going to be giving that out to that person. And that's what the person is going to feel. They're not going to be feeling that they're being sold to, or that you're trying to force them into something. Or, of course, people will always feel like that. Some people will. But if you say that right, if you say that with the right heart, and the words will come to you, then you will find that people will start to respond. Because like that, they actually are realizing that it's nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. You're giving them something, and you're giving something bigger to the world.
Absolutely, Kaz. That's fantastically put, and that's more or less word for word what you said on Thursday. And I thought it was so good. I thought it was, a great opportunity to mention that tonight. Okay, the next thing we want to talk about is some of the vision of the company Xango, where the business is heading over the next couple of years. Now, this is so exciting for me. The company Xango are going to double the number of distributors over the next couple of years. And I guess at the moment we've got just over 1 million distributors. So the next 2 years we're going to add another 1 million distributors. So how exciting is that? And all these new products coming. The next 5 years we'll probably be in 90 to 100 countries. We're in how many countries are we in at the moment, Chris?
I think it's something between 28 and 31, depending on who you talk to.
31.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started, we counted it on one hand. So we've just opened France, we've just opened Spain, we've just opened Portugal. Portugal is Xango's 4th largest growing market at the moment. And it's so exciting. And they're also thinking of Brazil, India, China. You're looking at about half the world's population in those countries. So, we're definitely in the right place at the right time. But it's having the mindset and having the vision, having the belief, and having those goals all in place. Okay, you've got to have that in place, before you do this. And it's so crucial. And none of this is going to happen unless we, the distributors, create it. So every single person on this call, we're the ones that will create this vision of the company, okay? And we have got the best, without a doubt, we have got the best management team in the entire industry. The company we came from, and Chris and I came from, a well-respected company, and I still highly respect that company, and they're doing some great things in this industry. But I believe our management team and the founders of this company, we've got the best people to make this vision a reality, without a doubt. So it's up to us, the distributors, to go out and make it happen. So if we believe in ourselves and create that mission, what Kaz was talking about, all of us can make this happen and work it together. And the great thing about this business, it's like a big family, isn't it? We all work together, and it's like the calls we do. We welcome anyone, regardless of which line they're working in. We work with and help and support anybody. And that is the spirit we want everybody to have in the company, everyone working together to achieve, common goals. And that's what network marketing, this is what Xango is all about. And there isn't a better company in this entire industry to do that. Okay? Now, what I want to talk about now is moving on to getting into more specifics now. And I want to talk about some of the potential that is coming our way. Now, so you should have a slide that says your latest markets. And these are the markets that basically are in pre-launch at the moment. And the potential here is just absolutely staggering. Now, at the moment, we've got Russia, the Ukraine, and Kazakhstan in pre-launch. And we know a little bit about these countries, especially Russia and the Ukraine. Kazakhstan, Ukraine and Kazakhstan are the ex-Soviet countries. Okay, they're all independent now. Now, if you take Russia, if you look at the network marketing industry, there are just over 4.4 million people in the network marketing industry in Russia. The population of Russia is something like, is it, Chris, 140 million? Something like that.
That's right.
It's a massive country. Okay, the Ukraine, now this is an interesting one. The Ukraine has a population much less than the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom population is about 61 million. The Ukraine is about 45, 46 million. Now, in the UK, in our industry, we have something like, 360, 370,000 people in our industry. And as you can see from the slide, in Ukraine, it's 1.1 million. Now, Kazakhstan, we don't know much about. But, by the way, the population of Ukraine is, 46 million, 45 to 46 million. Kazakhstan is a smaller country, population of about 16 million, but we don't quite understand how many people are actually involved in our industry. All I will say, it's a fantastic market for growing this industry. It's a real, as it says here, a hotbed of the industry. So why is it that these countries are doing so well in our industry? Now, this is really interesting because, Xango initially were not intending to launch into these countries until probably 2011. And what's happened, I'm sure most of you know, an opportunity arose where Xango purchased the assets, 100% of the assets of an established 15-year-old company based in Moscow in Russia. So that means the infrastructure, all the logistics, the staff, the management are absolutely all in place 100%, okay? And we had a call recently with one of the managers that runs the office in Moscow, and we were talking about how come, in the Western world where the average income, if you take the average income in the United Kingdom, for example, you're looking at probably 2,000 or £2,500 per month. In the United States, I don't know what it is. It's probably something similar. Would you have any idea, Kaz and Chris, what that would be?
Something very similar, yeah.
About $2,000 a month.
So that would be, say, I don't know, $4,000 to $5,000 a month. Something on those regions. Now, if you look at Russia and the Ukraine, the average monthly income is $400 to $600 a month. Okay? So, and it's interesting because I had a three-way call with Art and somebody from Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine, only last week, and we were talking about this, and Art was putting it down to, people in the Western world are used to having things given to them. Okay, now the people in Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan, what they're doing, they're looking for solutions, and these people are very resilient. And their work ethic is extremely strong, and they're not used to having things just given to them. They've got to work for it. And and they've been deprived of opportunity up until only in recent years. So they're very entrepreneurial and they're very hardworking, and this is why it makes our business so exciting to build in these countries. And one thing we asked the question to Isabel, who works in the Moscow office, is, do you see a problem or challenge of people coming into Xango with perhaps 2, 3, 4 cases a month? She said, no, not at all. She said the average income of the previous company, the one Xango bought the assets from, was 300 to 400 euros or dollars per month. That was the average order per distributor. And now we get people in the United Kingdom on a much higher average wage who won't go on 1 case or 2 cases. So again, it all comes back to the mindset, doesn't it, and the belief and the attitude. And so this is what's making these countries so exciting for all of us. And, they're great people as well, really great people. But one thing they do like, Kaz, you were talking about this. I'll bring you in a minute, but is getting to understand the cultures of these countries. And because, we're all different. And, Kaz, you were talking about the Italians, for example. Italy's coming soon, I hasten to add. But Kaz, what is your... you've got distributors in most countries we work in. What would you say, what we were talking about earlier about, getting to learn about the cultures more and the way they do things differently?
Absolutely. I think this is, first of all, very, very important. And as leaders, and on this call would consider themselves a leader just for the fact that you come on this call in the first place. And even those who have just started, your intention is to build a business. And when you think about other countries and people in other countries, you have to have sort of like a paradigm shift. That's another different, it's a map, another visual map. You have to look at things through others' eyes. and listen to the language that they're speaking, listen to what they're actually saying. And in every country, there's going to be a different, obviously a different culture, just as Sean so rightly says. And it's very important to think about the things that you can learn about that country. I mean, we read a great deal about, for our own development, and so that we can learn. We can also learn at the same time, a little bit perhaps to communicate in a language, even if it's just a couple of words that's courteous. Definitely to learn about their country that's accessible to absolutely everybody on the internet. Read about them, investigate, take an interest in them, take an interest in their politics, in their world, or even just find out, ask them questions. Those things are very important. Some people don't need to be, let's say, for example, many of the people who are in these new countries that we're in, they don't need to be asked, or what their mission is in particular, or they don't need to be encouraged so much sometimes, because they already have that motivation. They are so highly motivated because they're coming in on the basis of a business. Of course, the products are very important, but they're coming in to build a business and to get out of situations which they, as Sean says, they haven't had those opportunities. Those opportunities have actually been very, very scarce for them, and still are for many of those people. So they'll do anything that they can possibly do to get up, into a better situation, even to the point we understand of sharing, getting together and sharing, juice together, so that they can just get started. Now, of course, in some countries as well, you have just different attitudes. Like, for example, in Italy, they don't use, a lot of people in Europe, actually, they don't use credit cards. They're very, very frightened of putting their credit cards on the line, and what they do is they use debit cards that they actually buy from the post office, and they load up those debit cards. So it's a different type of attitude towards spending, towards buying. And also, the other thing to remember is that, Xango is an American company, and we speak English, and of course, it's been translated into lots of other languages. But not all Europeans speak English, and this is a misnomer. A lot of Europeans don't speak English; they speak German and French and Spanish and Italian, but they actually don't speak English. So don't expect everybody to speak English, or just because because they're in Xango, and that's another thing to take into consideration. Yeah, and I'm always happy to help anybody who needs a little bit of assistance, in our Xango family, as a linguist as well.
That's fantastic, Kaz. And just let everyone know, how many languages do you currently speak, Kaz?
Well, I'm fluent in 5, Sean: English, French, Spanish, Italian, and German, which sort of is quite useful. And then I can sort of do a smattering of a couple of other ones as well, including a bit of Russian. But I feel very, very weak in that point at the moment, and it's scaring me quite a lot. I have to go and do some serious brushing up. But at least I'm going to do it, and that's the important thing. Just think about communicating, just to say hello, goodbye, and thank you. Just put a couple of little words in there, because you will never believe how courteous that is considered, and how, these people are very often very, very hospitable, incredibly giving and hospitable, and hospitality is actually, seen as actually, learning a little bit of their language, or even trying to make an effort to communicate with them, even if it's just a little bit. That's very, very important, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Kaz. Sometimes, when we go abroad, especially we think, that everybody should speak English, but that's not the case. So I think it's great to go out your way just to learn a few words, and they really do appreciate that. And I can remember about cultures. The first time I went to Russia was St. Petersburg. This was probably 8 years ago, and this was one of the last corporate company I worked for, and that was about 8 years ago actually. And that's the last time I actually worked for anyone else. So anyway, getting their cultures was a bit of a shock, because I went for breakfast with this person, and he actually had a bottle of vodka on the table, and this was for breakfast. I thought, wow. I said, is this a common thing? Oh, yes, we all have a shot of vodka in the morning. This is in the winter as well, which was in November, which was quite cold. So it's very interesting, about to learn about the different cultures. Okay, I'm not sure if my screen has disappeared, everyone, but my internet connection has just dropped. It may come back in a minute. Is the screen still there, Chris?
Yeah, the screen's still there, but a warning came up saying that you needed to rejoin.
Oh, great. Yes, because my internet connection has dropped. But never mind.
Right.
Let's crack on. Okay, so let's go on to now a bit of the how. How do I build a global business? Okay. And so we've talked about a bit on mindset, goal setting, and the potentials, some of the international markets, which is absolutely staggering. So how do I go about building a global business? A lot of people maybe ask, wondering on the call, well, I don't know anyone in Russia, I don't know anyone in Italy or the Ukraine or Kazakhstan. I don't even know where Kazakhstan is, So, but don't worry about that, and because we're going to give you some tips and strategies here on how to, if you don't know anyone in those countries, don't worry about it. If you do the right things, you will get to know people in those countries. So it's like when you're starting in business. If you're a brand new distributor starting, you say, what do I do? And the first thing is, everything begins with your list. So I would say to people, write a list out of every single person you know, because it's like word association. If you get it down on paper, it might jog your memory and think, yeah, I know somebody, perhaps know somebody in Russia or the United Kingdom or France or Italy. So it's very important to do that list correctly. Okay. Now, a great thing you can do is to go back over all the people that you've contacted previously, if you've been around for some time, and your warm market and your old contacts. And you could say, hey, look, we're launching, we're expanding our business into Russia or Ukraine. It doesn't matter which country. You could say, I'm expanding my business into Italy, whichever one it is. Say, look, we're looking for leaders in those countries to help us launch. Do you know anyone in Russia? Do you know anyone in Italy or wherever it is? And that's a great topic, a great thing to start a conversation with anybody. And it's a great thing to swap business cards. They might say, well, no, I don't know. But you can say, hey, look, take my card and listen, if you come across anyone in Russia or wherever it is, I really would appreciate if you let me know. So that's really a simple thing to do. And it's a great, simple thing anybody can talk about. It's a bit like the simplicity of the X51, who do you know is, or do you know anyone who's tired, stressed, or depressed? And so it's a very similar, concept. And now here's a great example of what you can actually do is, go to your local library or local clubs. Now, if you're I actually live in a very rural area of a county called Devon, which is in the depths of southwest England. So we live in a very small town, and but my nearest city, there's you can go to the local chamber of commerce or the library, and you can find out if there are any sort of associations or clubs associated with any of those countries that we're launching in. So there's a few tips, especially if your chamber of commerce. Find local business people. For instance, Germany has got a massive, just using this as an example, Germany's got a massive population of Russians living in Germany. Just think when we go into China and India, every country's got a massive Chinese population somewhere. We've got Chinatown in London. What a great place to do some prospecting. You can eat out more if you know any Ukrainian or Russian or Italian restaurants. Go and eat. What an excuse to take your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband out for a meal. And by the way, the waiter, hey, could you help me? I'm expanding my business in your country. Do you know anyone there that's, looking for a career change? Or do you know anybody there that's perhaps fed up with what they're doing? And, we're looking for just one or two leaders there to develop our business with. I really appreciate it. If you know anyone, please let me know. And, of course, what are they going to say? They're going to say, well, what is it? And, of course, what I do, if I'm out and about talking to people, build a conversation out, I say, well, look, I don't want to talk about it now. It's not the right time. It's not the right place. But I'll tell you what, if we swap details, let's communicate for the next few days. I'll give you a call. So really, really simple. It's just being creative, isn't it, Chris? It really is. And again, if you've got those goals written down, and the belief and the vision, this will come automatically. Chris, I know you want to add some stuff on here because you actually put these slides together. And I thank you for doing that. But is there anything else you want to add to this bit?
Nothing specific, really. It's all about being creative, and Cass is an expert in this too. But what you've got to do is just try and create and establish these connections with people. Yeah. And if you're going out for meals, like you said there, a couple of handy little tips. When you're wanting to swap details to call them back, because it's not the right time to talk right now over your dinner, be sure that you get their details. Don't just say, here's my card, call me, because they probably won't.
Sure.
Make sure that you get their details and arrange to call them. Otherwise, you may be wasting a valuable connection there. Another great way to find contacts for all the new markets, and obviously remember that this applies to all the future markets after the ones we've mentioned today, is to try and dig out their like expatriate communities. For example, here where I live in the East Midlands in Nottingham, we've got a very big Ukrainian club, and they're an expatriate community who like to socialize together, even though they're in a different country. So it's a really good place to go and meet some people. And even if you don't meet business leaders, these people are very well connected with the home country. And looking to the future, you'll find particularly people like Indians are very, very well connected through their families, and they're very strong connections with the home country. So one of the tips really is to act local but think global. And if you haven't got the financial wherewithal to travel to these markets, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in the next few minutes. But if you haven't got that money at the moment because you've maybe just started your business, you can do quite a lot in your own town or in your own state or your own county.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. And if you're building local anyway, Chris, and developing the business as we should be, your business is automatically going to go international anyway.
Yeah, you can't stop it.
No, there's going to be somebody in your downline that knows somebody or knows of somebody in one of these countries. And just keep asking that question, even to all your downline. Get them to ask the questions to everybody. So, who do you know in Russia, or do you know anyone in Russia? Who do you know in Ukraine, Italy? France, Spain, Portugal. Just keep asking that question, and go to these clubs in the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce is a great source of information. Kaz, you've done quite a bit of work, I think, with your chamber.
Yes, indeed, and going to the whole thing now is about social networking. I'm not talking about social networking on the internet. I'm talking about social networking. There's loads and loads and loads of groups out there who are meeting in all sorts of different ways. There's breakfast clubs. There's all sorts of business meetings. There's trainings that you can go to for free now, which actually teach you about internet social networking, or teach you about social networking. And also, the other thing I would like to suggest to people is, sometimes when you want to join a Chamber of Commerce, you can, you'll find that it actually costs quite, it's quite expensive, and you may want to be saving your pennies. But you see, if you've got a couple of people in your group, you can share that out between you. You can get yourself a membership under one business name, and then you can share that out and the cost will come down considerably. I mean, one of the things you want to consider is that you've got huge advertising power, because it's not just you who's doing the advertising. Everybody is doing the advertising in your group. So as long as you can get enough people together who will participate in joining together into a Chamber of Commerce meeting or into an advertising campaign of any kind whatsoever, you've already got a tremendous amount of leverage. And this company, this business, this industry is all about leverage in the first place. So that's another consideration. Another thing is, of course, you can also just, it's quite fun, and it's a very, very good exercise as well, always to use that third-party approach when you're talking to people, like Sean has just said. And if you went out one morning, and every single time that you went into a petrol station, that's a gas station in America, or you went to any kind of business, or you had anything to do, or even if you just went out there and said, okay, on Saturday I'm going to visit every single company in my town center. And you said to each one of them, do you happen to know any people in Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan? My business, my multi-billion-dollar business is just gone into those countries, and I'm looking for business leaders. But they'll actually say to you, you don't even have to say that. You can say, do you happen to know entrepreneurs from those countries? And they may say, well, what is it? And if you want to say, what is it? Go equipped with something. Have a piece of paper for them. Have something with a telephone number on it. Very often they'll just put it up for you. I've just had leaflets made, which are very, very cheap to make, and just with just saying what we actually do. That, you know, a multi-billion-dollar company recruiting business leaders from Russia, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan, and basically massive business opportunity built in your country and from within the UK. You know, and this telephone number, who knows, it's putting more lines in the water. That's what I would like to say. Always, you want to fish from many sides of your boat. There's nothing better than to build rapport, and I believe very, very strongly in building rapport. But you can also, you know, advertising does work as long as you're thinking about it in terms of not, you know, not spending a vast amount of money on advertising, or being very creative and very clever about it, and also getting together with your teams and with the people who you're working together with and saying, hey, why don't we just put some money into the pot and we can do this together.
Absolutely, Kaz. Yeah, thanks for that. You know, so there's some fantastic strategies and tips on what you can do to create prospects, leads, interest in those countries. And I guess, you know, it's just a case of taking the action and going and do it. You know, just get it done. So that's some strategy. So how do we communicate with these people? Okay, you've perhaps gone to your chamber of commerce, you've been to a local restaurant, Ukrainian or Russian restaurant, and you've got a lead. Okay, you've got an interest in one of these countries. How am I going to communicate with these people, with this person? And what I would say is, you know, first of all, before we communicate, is let's just let me just take a few moments to explain, you know, countries in pre-launch situation. Now, if you take our business, Xango, there are two different markets. Okay, number one is the product, or the products, I should say now, and that is, you know, helping people with their health and etc. And their appearance, and you know, I believe we got the best products in the industry to do that. There's huge demand for our products. We all know it's a huge growing industry. The market segments we're working in. Okay, there's no doubt about it. That's going to be a massive business. Now, part two is, you know, is developing the business, developing the network, developing leadership, and, you know, finding people with influence and finding people with credibility. And if you take those two different markets, it's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it, between the product and the business. Okay, one doesn't go without the other. You've got to have a fantastic product or products to have a long-term established business. Okay, because unlike some companies in the network marketing industry, you know, they're all marketing driven, and they've, you know, it's the system that's grown. You know, they come onto the market and they grow really, really fast. But if that product is not up to the highest quality, the business tends to drop off. Okay, now we've got a product that has got fantastic retention rates. Okay, so, you know, that goes without saying. So it's really getting a balancing act between the product and the business. Now, what I want to say here is, when we're in the pre-launch situation, we have to focus more on part two, which is the opportunity. Okay, because we're not looking for juice drinkers at the moment. We're not looking for people who want to use Glimpse or the pericarp oil, whatever it is. What we're looking for are the people who are going to lead those countries. We're looking for the people with the influence and the credibility. So what I would strongly suggest is, when we're going to communicate with these people, is to focus on the opportunity first. Yes, of course, we talk about the product, because unless we've got the good product, you know, we haven't got a business. But we lead with the opportunity when we're in a pre-launch situation. Okay, and it's using the system that we use to contact anybody. Now, just going to give you an example here. In the United Kingdom, what we're doing, we're planning at the moment to put together a webinar to do on a regular basis specifically for these new markets. And we've had the offer of some of the management in Moscow to come on the webinar with us. So we can do it in English, but also we can do it in Russian. I'm just using that as an example. We will, you know, perhaps do the same for Italy. Kaz speaks fluent Italian. So, Kaz, we've just nominated you to do a webinar for us in Italian.
Yes.
And it's using, you know, Chris has put together for us, for example, some really good, what we call executive summaries, which are specifically aimed at those countries. Okay, and so you know, pick the communication tool you're going to use to because like like we always say, we are the messenger, not the message, and it's up to us to get that message out using the tools as our slaves, as I put it. So while you're doing your other business or job, if you've got one, get as many of those tools out as possible, and they become your slaves. They're working for you, so you're leveraging your time. Okay, that's very, very crucial. So just to recap on that, it is very, very important to focus on the opportunity in a pre-launch situation. Chris, I know you love this bit, and I would love your input on this because it's something we've actually been doing the last couple of weeks. We've done lots of three-way calls with some Russians and Ukrainians. I actually did a three-way call with Mike Bennett this morning with someone from Kazakhstan, and that was a fantastic call. So, Chris, I would love for you just to say a few things here.
Yeah, you mean on three-way calling, Sean?
No, just using the system, focusing on the opportunity in a pre-launch situation.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, well, the system is basically what creates the duplication in our industry that makes the whole thing work. And in many ways, it's exactly the same when you're working in a pre-launch opportunity in a new market as it is in a market that's been open for, 5 years. It makes no difference. It's just that you tweak some of the elements of the system to suit the target market. Now, obviously, when we're talking to a market like, for example, Russia, then in the pre-launch situation that we find ourselves in right now, they're opening officially on the 10th of October. So we have a finite time to get the networks in place. And I often make the analogy that what we're doing is we're kind of laying the roads so that the traffic can come after launch day. And that's what leaders do. And because of the fact that we have this finite time before launch date, the things we talk about are slightly different and on a slightly higher level because we're purely looking for business leadership. And that doesn't mean we're just looking for business people. We're looking for people who've got the drive to make things happen. That's what an entrepreneur really is, somebody who makes things happen. Okay, so the fact that we're using the same system as always, which is, showing people the business, offering them the opportunity to join it, and then training them to do the same with other people, just to put it in a very, very small nutshell, that stays exactly the same. But what happens in a pre-launch situation is that has to happen much more quickly. And, if we're starting people off today, we want to be starting their people off tomorrow. So we keep things super, super simple. And what we do is, we'll show them the business through a webinar, which is targeted at their market, which will be slightly different to a webinar about a market that's already open, of course. And then we're getting them straight onto a three-way call with one of the leaders. And when we say one of the leaders, that's, somebody in your upline who's prepared to help you do this. And, if you don't have anyone in your upline, find somebody cross-line. The great thing about the Xango family is that we all help each other, and we love that. So keep the system basically the same, just tweak it and sharpen it to work for a particular market. For example, Sean's mentioned in this webinar that when we're talking to the Russians, we might talk about the fact that they have a population of 140 million, and they already have 4.4 million people actively building businesses in our industry. So that's something that can explain to somebody who's maybe not in our industry in Russia that this is something that's already successful where they are, and we happen to be the most powerful company in that industry, and we're coming in there in less than a month's time. So the things you say may be slightly different, but the system remains the same. Okay. And remember that three-way calling element is probably the most powerful tool that any of us have in our arsenal, whether we're doing pre-launch or working in our existing markets, because it allows a couple of great things to happen. Three-way calling is a super powerful tool because it helps you to build your business while you're learning. You don't have to wait. You can get the upline and the other successful people working on your behalf by doing the talking while you listen and learn, but you're not waiting. It's not like going to university and then I'm going to start earning money in 6 years' time. You can start earning from the day you join Xango. So keep it simple and do a lot of things more quickly and get people started more quickly, and they will duplicate the same thing. And of course, on a similar note, you can do that in your own country too, and that's what we should all be doing. Yeah. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. Absolutely. Yeah, just to give you an example, last week I did a three-way call with Art, with one of my Ukrainian contacts from Kiev. He's a lawyer, and he said, what is the process? And Art said, well, this is part of the process. He said, your objective now is to get 3 to 5 leaders on the call with us, and it's a step-by-step process, and this is the first step in that process. So by doing that, Art demonstrated, one, we're going to build it fast, make a list, and we're going to start making calls immediately. And like Chris said, keep it very, very simple. And that is part of the learning process. We do that, keep it simple. He's going to do exactly the same. So, and that's what this person is going to do. Okay, just moving on quickly because we're coming up to time. Okay, so the very last slide today is your future. What is your future? Are you going to be, or will you be, a global leader? Are you ready to do whatever it takes? And if you're going to build a downline, a massive or a big downline in any foreign country, at some stage you've got to be prepared to visit that country to support your downline. Yes, we have lots of technology at our fingertips now with webinars and calls like this, but at some stage, if you've got that vision and you've got that 100% rock solid belief, you're going to jump on a plane and you're going to go and support and develop your team. And I'm actually going to be doing that. So I'm visiting Kiev this month because we're going to get people started there right away. And and they love that. They make a special effort to get all the leaders together, and it's a fantastic opportunity. But what a business. All the expenses are tax deductible anyway, and what a fantastic life we can lead. I got a vision, and this is Art's vision as well. We want to, get as many cultures involved in our business as possible. And what a fantastic business to be involved with, where we're changing people's lives, not just in our own country, but around the globe. What a fantastic business to be involved with. So, the summary is develop your own vision for your business. Act local. Always build your business locally, because you've heard the story of acres of diamonds. It's on your doorstep. But think global as well, and take responsibility for your success. Yes, we'll all build the business with people, but nobody's going to build the business for you. Okay, you've got to take responsibility for yourselves. You've got to take responsibility for your own actions. But, I honestly believe this is the best industry and the best company to be involved with. And I challenge anybody to find me something better. Sometimes, all of us probably get this, you get a bit of negative about network marketing. And I'll challenge that person. I say, well, if you've got something better, please show me. And not one person is, a few people have attempted it. But when we analyze it and sit down, there is nothing better than this industry. And, this company, Xango, they're a company with a strong heart. It's going to be massive. We will be in 100 countries, or 90 to 100 countries over the next 5 years. So just think, if you had, one leader in every one of those countries, what size of business do you think you'll have in the next 5 years? So it's a massive opportunity. But what Kaz says, it goes a lot deeper than, just setting personal goals. We're on a mission, aren't we? And this is going to be absolutely massive. And just think how many people's lives we can change, for the better around the globe. And we do that just one person at a time. Chris and Kaz, before we finish, just very, very quickly, in just one sentence, anything you'd like to add before we finish?
Well, I'd like to add one thing, and that is, that what we are doing here is we are lighting the candle that will guide future generations towards a better world.
Yeah.
And this is a mission that we have to be focused on at all times. We are doing something that is of such incredibly massive importance. And it's not just a small thing, it's not just a business, it's much, much greater than that. And, it is going to have a reverberation for generations and generations to come, and really actually create a better world. And, we have created that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Kaz. And Chris, anything just to finish up?
No, just to reiterate one thing that you said there, that is that, there's probably nothing out there. In fact, I would boldly say that there's nothing out there with so much upside potential and so little downside. So you might as well just sit in your car, Xango's your vehicle, and just drive this thing, because you've got a rock-solid company that'll back you up in whatever you do, and it's a true partnership between the company and us. And as Cass said there, we're doing way more than building a business here. This is actually a mission to make a better world, so let's just do it.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, guys. That's great, and I appreciate you coming on. Okay, just to finish up, everybody, we really appreciate you taking your time to come on this call. We hope you have learned something, and take on board some of those strategies and tips, and go out there and make it happen. But one important thing is have fun doing it, And just finally, don't forget, if you've not got your convention ticket, make sure you get your ticket, make sure you get there. We're all coming over again. We wouldn't miss it for the world, because that's where we do, get the belief that we are doing the right thing here. So again, once again, thanks ever so much for coming on, everybody. And I'd just like to say thanks to Chris and Kaz for your input. It's been absolutely fantastic. Thanks for putting those slides together, Chris. Chris, could you open the lines up and we'll just say bye to everyone?
So, hi, everybody. Thank you.
Goodbye.